Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Just got done with PC Gaming Show, I suppose, their showcase, and that was a long 2 hours, let me tell you. Overall, this week's had a bunch of pretty good announcements, not just the Final Fantasy 16 one, even though that's the only one I posted my reaction to on the channel, but waiting to see how everything pans out for the few remaining shows that there are. There were a bunch of things that I didn't get to see this week or weekend that left me a little disappointed, but of course, like I said, we still always have 16 to fall back on. Anyway, I got a busy afternoon, so I want to kind of get going. Sorry if it's bright on this side. Aloha is sprawled. Well, Aloha was sprawled out on the ground, and then Ivy decided to go pay him attention, and now he's walking away from her. Very, very upset that his slumber was disrupted. Ivy, why do you have to be this way? So let me get going before the cats get too riled up. Thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon. They don't have to support. All of my content is available for free here on YouTube. But thank you to them all the same. And with that, let's get to the Q&A. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mom Days. Mother's Day is way back. Hello. Hope you've had a lovely week and a great patch experience. Thank you. For my question, a very simple one that I would like your input on. How are you feeling about those new Blitzball? Oh my God. They were volleyball. Volleyball existed before Blitzball because Blitzball takes place in water, and this was not in water. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Habs. Hello, Habs. Hey, hope you're having a good day. You too. How valuable is item level compared to substats? Almost always the definitive thing. It's very, very rare that substats end up being dominant over item level. It's only in very extreme cases, usually a few pieces per tier on a couple of select jobs. But it's almost always just the main stat increase is more than enough to off-put it. Even the vitality increase is incredibly valuable. And then when it comes to weapons, that goes up significantly as well. So almost always, but there are definitely cases where that isn't guaranteed, especially in accessories. Before I answer this one, sometimes I like to throw in a little mini lightning round. There was a question in regards to like somebody who's, was casually raiding, now probably leaving their group because of tensions flaring. And if I had any advice for them before throwing into the recruiter Discord, honestly, I think it's kind of worth it just diving into the party finder even before looking at the recruiter Discord, but I don't have any advice. I don't like to lead groups. I find that far too often people are less objective driven and more drama driven. Dealing with people is not my specialty because I don't have the patience to deal with the things that people get upset over. It just upsets me so much. So I don't have any good advice. Just patience, I guess, would be the only thing I could offer you. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello. Hope you're doing well. Same to you. My question is regarding Dragoon. Dragoon has quite a few buttons between managing your two DPS buffs, crits, party buffs. Could you see them rework in the near future? I had this question asked like quite a few times over the past few weeks. It's a job that is probably on the chopping block for a rework, but here's the thing. I don't think you'll ever have Dragoon having their 5-button combo brought down to 1 button. I think that's extreme. That being said, Dragoon just has a lot of OG CDs. That's really all it is, because their basic combo is a joke. It's 2 combos that just go back and forth, and it doesn't matter how many buttons they are, they're super simple. So it's really just the amount of OG CDs they have. I think that it's reasonable enough that at some point they will probably rework it. I think it's going to be one of the jobs that comes up that gets reworked probably in the next expansion. That's about all I have to say for that. Man, this week is full of questions that are, kind of repeats or whatnot. There's another question about what about a Gilgamesh Ultimate or any other ideas. It's like, yeah, I mean, there's a ton of ideas in the game for Ultimates, but whether or not they'll do one or if it's reasonable to expect one is a totally different topic. I mean, honestly, I had written off Kefka being in a Warring Triad Ultimate until this last Ultimate happened and we got these kind of what-if scenarios being worked into them. But now that's totally plausible. But what's plausible and my value of input is not equal, I suppose. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, they're happy. Hope the family, including the cats, are doing well. Yeah, when they're not being annoying, they're doing well. I've been raiding soon to be 4 years as a tank. I feel it's starting to stress me out. Starting to. I'm surprised it didn't years ago. Give me track of doing callouts for what feels like near every mechanic, positioning the boss perfectly to give party members the easy time as possible, calling out buff windows, mitigation windows. You should not have to do all that. You should never have to call out the biggest thing, every group should have people who call different things, and people will still probably do various amounts of input at different times. If you watch, for example, my clear VOD of DSR, you can hear Whoops calling out 2 minutes, and you can hear me calling out one phase, and you can hear Whoops calling out a mechanic in the first phase, and you can call Zeph calling out a mechanic in the other phase. And, you know, Zeph calls out defensive, especially mitigation windows. Like, yeah, I understand, like, reprisal, addle, but that shouldn't... These are the kind of things that groups shouldn't need to communicate that frequently, unless it is a return problem. So I'm the call out guy when I need to be, but I don't push it if other people definitely want to be on top of that. But that's the biggest thing. It should never all fall on one person. It should be spread across a bunch of different people. Tanks can call mitigations. A DPS can call a buff window. Somebody who's really good at calling the mechanics can call a mechanic. If you have more than one person, split that between different phases. It should be about dividing out responsibility a lot more. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Hello, sir. Hope you're well. I hope you're well also. I'm doing all right. First time asker, long time viewer. Welcome. My legacy player myself. My question, is there an easy way to see if you have any unclaimed achievements? That's a good question. I think there is. I think there's a thing for it that shows you what you have that's unclaimed, like a sorting option. I'm almost positive there is, but without being in game right now, I couldn't say for certain. The answer is either what I just said is true, and the answer is yes, or what I just said is bull, and no, there isn't. Which one it is? Just gonna have to look. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Hello, Mr. Happy. Hope you're having a good day so far. My day gets a thumbs up from me. I watched your video on content coming in future Endwalker patches. Started thinking about some older relic content that I should feel should be updated, namely resistance weapons. Guildmate had this issue earlier. The exact same issue is that the Time Worn artifacts that requiring 15 Time Worn artifacts, with 3 coming from DR and a chance for 1 from Palace. DR is basically deserted. Occasionally I'll see a PF listing, and joining the queue will put you in a queue with maybe 2 other people. I think there's something they will revise. Yeah, Delubrim's the only thing I think really needs revisions for the resistance weapons. I've actually been saying that for a while, and I also felt that even the Savage version of Delubrim either A, should drop them, or B, should they should just update the way that the entire thing works. And I think I'm hoping that's something they'll be doing in the future. I just have to hope, because I really can't do much else. But yeah, I know, I agree. But however, I will say the Palace of the Dead, if you're willing to do some solo climbs or you're working towards Necromancer, it is very easy to get them done. Angelus has like thousands of those things lying around, the Time-Worn artifacts. So I know it can be easy depending on how interested you are in that content. But if you're not, then it's awful. So hopefully an update sometime in the near future. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Hey, Mr. Happy. Hi. Hope you're having a great day. You too. This is a 2-part question about free and grant companies. Do you think future grant company ranks and content will be added? They've said the only way they'll do it is if there's a good reason to. So if they don't have a content with grant companies in mind already kind of in the pipeline, then no. Because there's really no good functional reason to do it. Looking at the way it's been up to now, there's no point in adding more ranks. So that's a big thing. And free companies can currently achieve a max rank of 30, but the FC perks stop at 20. Do you think this is giving free companies something to work towards? I remember somebody telling me what those other 10 levels do. I think it was like, I don't remember. I'd be paraphrasing no matter what I said. I remember somebody saying that they're not worthless, those ranks, but that they serve a very narrow purpose. I guess it maybe has something to do with the number of free company actions you can store, or I don't know. Somebody's given me a reason why those 10 levels are not completely worthless, but I don't know. They could be creating room just to, in case they decide they want to add something, they can just add it to existing levels instead of creating more. Or they could have just did it because why not? Because people are already max level. But then again, that argues against grant companies, which, they said they don't want to add anything unless there's a reason to. So I'd have to log in the game and check in order to know for certain about that 20 to 30. But that's my input. Looks like we have our first not hello in quite a few weeks, I feel. Oh, no, actually, see, you fooled me. The hashtag says hello. That's good. That's clever. I like that. Will they ever add Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High to Duty Finder? No. And possibly make it a roulette? No. The way they're designed, they can only be entered from those locations. Now, they could rework them to actually make them queuable from anywhere, but given the way that the save system works, the biggest problem with this is the Duty Finder is not programmed to force you to go through the whole save menu and load menu and new game and like the whole managing the save file and the data. The Duty Finder is not programmed to do that. It's very similar to the reasons why other content like Eureka or Bozja, why that's not doable in the Duty Finder, because it has to manage all these little subsystems that the rest of the Duty Finder cannot identify or connect with. So they're designed from the ground up to be done this way, and reworking it is both a heavy workload and incredibly unlikely given all the systems that would have to be reworked just so you didn't have to do one extra teleport in order to do them. Oh, and I didn't even notice there's a second half. Let us name our minions and mounts. No, they have names. So they're not going to let us change their names. They're not. Most of them aren't even living things. They're just mammoths or reconstructs of things. So no, they have names. Then we're not going to get to do that. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Well met, Mr. Happy. Hello. If you could design an RPG, what would it look like? Did you just ask me, like... I don't even know where to start with that question. Do you understand how not narrow of an answer that? You know what it would look like? An RPG. There you go. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello there. Hi. Hope you're doing well. Same to you. Remember both the hashtag and the hey this time. I see you're outing yourself as a previous not helloer and fixing your mistake. Good job. What did you take on housing? Do you think it's still awful? Do you have any thoughts how they can improve it? I don't give a shit about housing. In pretty much any game, I really don't give a shit about housing. I don't care if they continue doing it the way they do it. I don't care if they just completely demolish it and just we only have apartments or whatever. What could they do to improve it? Just make gardening doable by people who don't have houses. Quite frankly, you do that, and that fixes like maybe 10 to 20% of the people's problems. Same with FC airships, or FC submarines. Sorry, I guess, and airships as well. If honestly, if they just made those not require a house, that would eliminate a lot of people's desire for a house. Wouldn't eliminate everyone's. A lot of people do just want a house for the sake of having a house and decorating it and whatnot. But I don't care. I just really don't. It's not content I'm interested in. It's not something I'll ever log in to maintain or modify. My apartment has like a lamp on the floor and that's it. It's uninteresting to me, which is ironic because I like Animal Crossing and I'm looking forward to Island Sanctuary, but I do not care about having a house in 14, decorating a house in 14, or managing my apartment or free company room at all. They're just of no interest to me. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Mr. Happy. Hi. I hope everything is okay. Find time to relax. I never have time to relax. I actually feel more relaxed working half the time. It's been a few years. I was hoping you'd do another video on your current recording setup, computer gear, recording, editing, software, mic headset. I feel like I didn't do one I feel like I did one like maybe 2-3 years ago, and nothing's really changed. I have my Elgato mic. I have all my SteelSeries gear, headset, mouse, keyboard. Don't forget to check the description for SteelSeries. Don't forget to use the discount code Mr. Happy to save 12% on your purchase. Feel free to ask me questions. And then, you know, my PC is updated, but it's not like my PC. I don't have like any specific parts in or on my PC for recording. So and then it's Sony Vegas. I feel like whatever the last video I made, not much has really changed. Maybe like the type of SteelSeries hardware I have is updated, and the microphone definitely updated from my old AT2020 to the Elgato mic, Wave 3 mic, but hasn't changed much. So I don't go too crazy on my recording software, in all honesty, or my recording hardware and software, honestly. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays with that. Glad your mother's doing okay. Thank you. 2 quickish questions. Okay, there's quite a bit of text for quickish questions, but you know what? They're quick by your standards, so I'll take it. Do you have any tinfoil hat theories on the next raid tier? I miss your Ethos lore state. You know, I actually don't really care about specifically what happens in the individual raid tiers. All I know is that by the end of it, we'll have confirmed that we are doing this adventure with Elidibus and La Habrea. That's pretty much the ending that I expect. How we get there, I don't really care too much about having a tinfoil hat theory on. I'm pretty sure we already know the names of the next 2 tiers. I think somebody has already posted why. You know, I think it's Abyssos next is the next one, and I forgot what people determined the last one would probably be called. But either way, I know the same thing with Aglaia. I might be mixing that up with Aglaia. I know Aglaia, people are almost certain we know what the remaining 2 raid tiers will be called in Myths of the Realm, but I can't remember the names right now. As for Pyromancer, we were planning on having Pyro on, still are, but I just haven't had it in me to organize State of the Realm as of late. Every day feels like I'm just overwhelmed to some capacity, and I just forget to do it. And so him and I talked. In fact, it was on my live stream we talked about it. He was in the chat, and I was like, "Hey man, sorry to bum rush you with this, but people have been asking for an episode with you for a while. He gave me his contact, and I told him I'd be in touch, and I just haven't made time for it. Haven't remembered to do it. Just been trucking along day by day for the last few weeks, for the last month or so, nonstop. 2 for 7 remake. I think one thing we might get a media blitz surrounding the next week's lore dump. Next week's not going to be a dump of information. The thing that's on the 16th, it's a 10-minute presentation, and I guarantee you First Soldier and Ever Crisis are big headliners in that event. There's also the possibility of Crisis Core maybe showing up. I know Gact actually performed not too long ago in his Genesis outfit, which was a big surprise to people. Why all of a sudden is he performing in his Genesis outfit? Do I hear something? I feel like I did. I have a fly in here somewhere too, so I'm like listening for it because I want to swat that motherfucker. But yeah, no, I don't. I don't think there's going to be a media blitz. I don't think it's anywhere near done. In all honesty, I don't think it's coming out till after 16 even comes out. But when it'll end, like where it'll end, honestly, I don't really care. I just want to play it. I just want them to keep getting work done on it. If I had to guess, it would not be the end of Disc 1 as much as I think it should be. I think that would be the smart thing to do. I think it'll be somewhere in the middle of from where we are now to the end of Disc 1. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Mr. Haps. Hope life has been treating you well and hope any relatives of yours did well in their finals. Oh, no, I don't have any relatives that are in like high school or college. They're all done with that shit. We don't have any like I don't have any like teenage nephews or nieces or anything, or anyone who's like, we're in our 30s, man. My entire family is like in their 30s or older. We have like I have like one nephew that's like 8 and another one and a niece. I think that's like 1. There's nobody having finals in my family. Is there a purpose to magic and physical raid wides besides slightly swaying what decisions on what tanks? That decision has nothing to do with tanks because you're talking about raid wides. Maybe you meant tank busters, but raid wides are for decision making with addles and feints. There are other mitigations that can be. I know you're probably also maybe referring to Dark Missionary on Dark Knight, but no, it is generally flavor because some bosses obviously don't look like they're going to be magic users, so they make the AoEs physical. And then, of course, vice versa as well. But it is also so that there's some things that are better or worse at using Addle or Feint on. The biggest problem is the game doesn't give you the information it should on identifying which is which. The one easy way to tell is if you parry a raid wide as like a DPS, it's a physical one. But that's, not the best way of conveying that information. 2, I'm still struggling with Monk. Which tutorial videos? I don't know. So one big thing with me is I almost watch no Final Fantasy 14 videos on YouTube. I am so surrounded by Final Fantasy 14 on a daily basis that one of the last things I consider doing with my time is watching Final Fantasy 14 content on YouTube. That's nothing against the other people who create Final Fantasy 14 content on YouTube, but when you've been living and breathing a game for so many years, it just isn't my go-to form of entertainment. I'd rather watch like Xiaoma NYC or something like that, learn a new language and, go to like Chinatown or another country or something to, speak the language. Or I'd rather watch Uncle Roger roast Jamie Oliver or something, or watch like an old Wildin' Out clip so I can watch DC Young Fly make an absolute fool of everyone who he actually goes against. I look at like more kind of streamlined forms of entertainment that are mixed on like YouTube or Netflix or whatever. I just don't ever consider watching. In regards to helping, though, I usually recommend just going to the balance and checking whatever resources they have there. The Discord group just makes it easy. If you can expect the next showcase on the graphics update images when it's ready. There's no reason to say we should expect it at a specific point. When more stuff is ready, they'll show it to us. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, Happy. Hope you're doing great. I hope you're doing great as well. This is my first expansion, so I don't know how big balance patches will be from now on, but I feel the job balance now is almost perfect. Poor Machinist. Machinist is still, it's okay on single target. It's just not good on multi-target at all. Going forward in the patches, do they do major changes like job reworks? Yeah, we normally get 1 or 2 full job reworks, or at least minor job reworks like we saw with Monk in patch 5.4. But yeah, Summoner has classically gotten them before. Ninja got one last expansion. Monk got one last expansion. But it's just up to what they feel needs to be done. Sometimes they just need to do a few basic job changes and that's it. And if that's all they need to do, then that's all they will do. But there's no way of saying for certain how the scope of it will play out. But if they agree and the game is balanced right now, they're not going to shake it up just for the sake of shaking it up. It is to balance, as you know, the concept would present itself. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi. Hope things are going well. You too. I say that so many times per episode, but I still like to make sure that I say it back. Sometimes I forget, but I do my best. I came back to Final Fantasy XI recently, mostly for the nostalgia, and I've been enjoying it casually, but it has me wondering how people figured out what to do for some of these quests originally. I understand and have no problem keeping a second monitor up with wiki and guides out. We still had to do it back then, too. So the answer is, what wikis are now were the forums for Final Fantasy XI way back when. Alakazam, Killing Ifrit, plus, you know, any various, I guess, game FAQs and stuff. Generally, it was just people information sharing. And then eventually it was compiled in certain websites that were, you know, fan sites, the various ones that were out there. And that's it. I'd say that's really how the majority of kind of early internet MMOs kind of got their information around, was just through word of mouth. And the communities were a little bit more tighter knit, so it was easier for information to travel. It was more likely you could just ask somebody, find out. Nowadays, it's just the information is, you know, touch of your fingertips and you can find it all. Somebody still needs to put that out into the world, though. It's not like Square Enix does, so people still go out there and put that information out so they can help other people. It's just done a little bit more anonymously now than it was back in the day. Go talk to some random NPC outside a jewelry store. I don't think there are any hints. Most of the time there are hints. They're not great, but there are. I will say that there are some quests out there that I really don't understand. I feel like people just stumbled across them, and that's the only reason anyone managed to find it. It was a complete accident. But no, I understand what you're saying. And it's just sharing between people. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Hap. 2 questions. Hi. All right, let's get right into it. A lot of AoE on jobs are just copies of single target abilities of very simple combos. True. What do you think of an idea of having an AoE stance you could turn on its head? No. So one of the biggest reasons why they are separate is because you can very easily swap between using them without needing to press a button. Having that extra button press to make sure you go between single target or AoE, yes, I understand that technically it's not an extra button because you're eliminating the total number of hotkeys that are changed. But that is sure to cause more issues than it is to fix. You're going to have people who forget to turn it off and go into bosses, just start doing AoEs at the start, or people who fat finger it and screw everything up by suddenly AoEing in the middle. Sometimes jobs have less AoE buttons than single target buttons as well. So I say no to that idea right out the gate. Second question is, can you talk about why your static disbanded? Oh, we had 5 different time zones, and there's no way we could keep managing it. So we were West Coast NA, East Coast NA, the UK, I think West Coast Australia and East Coast Australia were the 5 time zones that we were dealing with. And it was a nightmare. We basically all took off work to do prog. So, you know, obviously that's not a scheduling issue. But every week after, it's like, okay, we have 90 minutes to get our weekly re-clears done, or we literally cannot do it. Or people have to lose sleep in order for us to do it because the time zones were just absolutely screwed. And so finally it hit a breaking point. You know, we had this massive 2-week this 2-week rating experience, and at the end of it, a bunch of us, I wasn't one of them, but quite a few people were like, listen, the time zone problem, I think it's at a breaking point. We should probably go our separate ways and try to find. And multiple people felt that way. Mostly the people not in the US. And I completely agreed because I was amazed we managed to make it work for as long as we did. So that's all it was. It's just time zones just way, way too fucky to keep working at patch after patch after patch. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi. Hope you're having a good day. You too. In regards to the Persona tangent, I've completely forgot I went off on that tangent. I go off on that tangent occasionally because it very much reflects how I feel about when I stream any sort of high school anime style game. Went on with Anne at the very end. I find it very weird romancing the adult character option in P5 because, yeah, I'm an adult, but the character I'm playing as is a minor. For sure, the real solution. Bro, I don't know about you, but when I was a high schooler, we had, you know, adult crushes. You know, you maybe had that one teacher you're like, oh my God. You know, you're a high school kid, you know, you're just like, oh my God, that substitute teacher is... And you talk with your friends about it. I mean, that was just normal talk. And in my high school, we had a substitute teacher who was like 6'3" in amazing shape, and all the girls in my classes used to always like fawn over him. And that's how I remember high school. So the idea of that kind of playing out, it's almost like it's absolutely weird. You're 100% correct. But if I were to think about it from the inside the game point of view that I know a lot of people like to do, and one I don't like very much, is that's how I think about it. I think about how I would have been in high school with that situation. But yeah, making an edgy teen angst RPG as a dating sim, probably not a good idea. I feel like that's not an incorrect or unpopular opinion. It's probably the best option because you can run into a moral problem on pretty much either side of the spectrum. Whether you're somebody who is ignoring how you would feel and trying to put yourself in the shoes of the character you're playing, or vice versa. It's got a lot of weird ways that this can go. Now, that being said, romancing options aren't necessarily bad. It's only the people who get really weird about it. I don't think it is that strange to, like, personality-wise, maybe hone in on a character and go, okay, if I'm going to advance the friendship options with that character, this is a character that I'm more interested in. It's when people get weird about it. Like I said last week, when Ann Takamaki's there, you're like, oh my god, Ann, she's my waifu. That's creepy. But if you're playing the game and it's like, oh, you know, I actually kind of want to advance the relationship with Ann. I think she's a way better character than somebody else. That's like a perfectly normal way, I think, to play through that game. It's only the extreme weirdos that make it feel awkward, that just makes my fucking skin crawl when I'm trying to stream the game and I read. You want to hear a funny story, a completely different tangent, but since we're already on the topic, I'll bring it up. I posted, so when the Yuffie DLC for Final Fantasy VII Remake was initially unveiled, I remember somebody posting something like that, like Yuffie is my yummy cake or something like that in my comment section. And I went, bro, she's like 16 or 15. I don't actually remember how old Yuffie is. She's somewhere in that range. And then the response comment was, that's legal in Japan. And I was like, oh my fucking god, why are you like this? Stop. Just stop. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Haps. Hope you had a great week. Same to you. I've been wondering, since you've been talking about Xenoblade Chronicles lately, even playing it on stream, I was wondering what your opinion is on Xenoblade Chronicles X. I haven't played it, and I probably will never play it, because, well, if they ever make a remaster for the Switch, yeah, I would play it. Until they do that, though, no, I won't play it. I don't have an opinion on it, because I haven't played it. This is exactly what I did with Xenoblade Chronicles 1. I refuse to have an opinion on it, because I haven't played it. And that's, I feel like, for the better. That definitely made getting through Xenoblade 1 better, because I didn't go in thinking like, don't be like Xenoblade 2, don't be like Xenoblade 2, please don't be like Xenoblade 2. I just wanted to learn and see. I'm more worried about that issue with Xenoblade 3, because I think I will be expecting Xenoblade 3 to be closer to Xenoblade 2, and I really hope it isn't. But who knows? We'll find out in July at this point. But yeah, as long as it's only on the Wii U, I'll never play Xenoblade Chronicles X, because I don't want to buy a game to then emulate it, because I'm not going to buy a Wii U and try to stream that, especially with the tablet. It's going to make it awful. So yeah, it would have to be remastered, and I don't know if they're going to remaster it, just given what I've seen of that game and like how it actually plays. I don't know. I don't know if they're ever going to do a remaster for that. Hashtag MHM. Hi. Hey. How often do new primal shiny weapons release? There is no pattern to that at all. Sometimes we get a bunch of them out of the blue, and sometimes we don't get them for patches and patches and patches. So all I can say is good luck if you're waiting for a particular one. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, Mr. Happy. Hi, how are you today? Great. Hope you're doing good. Do you think they'll ever have jobs branch out again like they did with Arcanist? No. They've said multiple times they regret doing that. And that if they could, they would go back and undo it and just make Summoner and Scholar two different things. It was a development nightmare for them. They've mostly gotten the hang of it now, but it gives them no reason to go back and do it with another class. Geomancer, obviously, this is the number one thing that brings up this conversation is Geomancer from Conjurer. So I'm not too surprised to see you go with that, but no, you'll never see another class or a job that comes off of a class ever again. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. I can already notice, so when I start getting down to the bottom of the list, but I know I'm getting there because a lot more of the questions start having replies. I don't know why. It seems to like push those down to the bottom of my comment section of like top rated. Maybe there's another thing in the algorithm going on there for the way it shows me the comments, because I don't have it set to most recent. These are questions that, you know, I have questions that were asked 6 days ago that I've already covered, and this one's from like 5 days ago. So I know I'm getting pretty close to the end. So we're at a good time for this video. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, hope you're doing all right. Same to you. Just finished Final Fantasy 15. I found the story seemed very thin and really felt like chunks of it are missing. Now I've heard a lot of side media fills out a bit. Seems pretty predatory, like most games up to a point contain all information plot points in the full game as is. So I guess my question is, do you think the trend will follow? Predatory isn't, I don't think predatory is the right way of putting Final Fantasy 15. I think unfortunate is the best way. The anime is available completely for free online. That's one of the side bits. And Kingsglaive, Kingsglaive probably isn't too expensive as a movie. And honestly, while it sets up the events that happen at a specific point, it's not actually that important to play Kingsglaive to understand anything in Final Fantasy 15. It really just, you go, oh, that's what happened at that point. The DLCs are basically built into the game at this point, minus episode Arden, which for some reason I don't think is included in the Windows or Royal Edition, unless they've updated it and I don't remember. I just think it was a result of the way that game had to be developed. Man, it always gets me upset because Final Fantasy 15, if it was a game that was planned out and developed and made from scratch without all the years of baggage that Final Fantasy Versus 13 was, it would have been a better game. I think it's fair to say that universally, but they essentially gave Tabata 3 years and said, get us a finished project, take everything that's here and create something that we can sell, because this has just been taking way too long. And that's where people get the 10-year time frame. It was 7 years of nothing happening with Versus 13, a plot that never existed, and yet somehow people were excited about it. And I don't even know how you think Versus 13's plot could have been better than 15's. It never existed. They basically just had a bunch of concepts and ideas that never got made, that never got put together. It wasn't because he was being strung along by Kingdom Hearts. They just kept changing their damn minds. It almost became a musical at some point. Ugh. Anyway, went from being 1 game to 3 games to 1 game to 2 games, back to 1 game, back to... I think it suffered from that. In that 3-year time frame, the only way to get every detail in was probably to go this route and to have to do DLC releases along the way. Now, I do also think some of this might be reflective on Square Enix's strategy, seeing how live service games and games with DLC were kind of taking over the market in terms of monetary gains. So I have a feeling that probably also played a role in it. Not only so the delivery time plus seeing those market trends, and it just resulted in a huge blunder. I actually really like 15, specifically Royal Edition and Windows Edition, but that's to ignore the disaster that game went through across all those years, and even after it released, that'd be irresponsible. So it's a whole lot of details. I'm sure we'll never really know deep down what caused all of that. We can only ever speculate, but it's a shame. All right, well, the last few questions and comments here, I guess I can just lightning around because I don't really have much to say. There's one asking about whatever happened to the other limited jobs they mentioned back when they first unveiled Blue Mage. And quite frankly, I would assume limited jobs just haven't been popular enough to warrant doing more. Blue Mage isn't even fully updated. We don't know when the next Blue Mage update will even come, even though we know that level 80 Blue Mage should be something that's on the docket given how the last couple expansions went. But we don't know. So that's the best I can do on that. And the other one was, why is the 5% bonus, the damage buff, so important to people nowadays? It's a mix of just wanting to make sure you have something ideal that's very low cost to the group. It's generally a good idea to have 1 caster, 1 melee, 1 range physical, and then obviously you'll have tanks and healers. It's just a really nice balance to have for the party. Helps ensure there's less job overlap, even without the 1 player per job option enabled. And the limit break generation is normally a little bit better with something like that as well. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why that is, but you shouldn't be having any issues with any particular job joining. It's just a matter of if you're joining fast enough, faster than other people who would be matching those roles. So I do think people maybe try to over-enforce it in some contents, like I think I just saw that fly I was mentioning. It might be in the light right there. People try to do it for all sorts of things that are like super easy content. I don't even care about it in extremes. I really only care about it in Savages and Ultimates. And I think people could do with being a little bit more flexible with it, but it is what it is. I mean, they give you a benefit for doing just having a certain type of comp or compositional makeup. And it's just so easy to get that extra 1% to help everyone out. Now, I think the rest of the things in the comment section were here. Somebody asked also if I was going to do a BA guide. Yeah, I've been asked that a ton. No, I'm not, because the BA guides that are out there are already so good that I don't think you should ever shy away from doing content, because it's already out there, but I feel that way about this particular thing, given just the quality of those other ones. As for some other comments, there's a lot of comments about the whole tank hostage thing. I've already said my piece on that. I don't really care if a tank tries to solo if the whole party dies. I don't care about the HP percentage. I think it's cool to watch, and as far as I'm concerned, I can get up and go get something to eat, and I ain't even got to be a part of that, so I think it's fine. Some stuff about PvP rewards. Somebody telling me I should go talk to someone. I'm talking to you right now. I'm good. My burden got lifted when my mother's house was taken care of. Trust me, I'm doing all right. But I like to stay busy. When I'm not busy, I get stressed. I need to constantly have my brain churning. I need to have goalposts set for myself, or I feel like I'm moving nowhere. So, and I'm always setting goalposts for myself in and out of aspects of work and life and whatnot. Some more comments about Final Fantasy, turn-based stuff. Did you read the comments off a different video? Yo, that's how I felt last week. I was like, didn't I just answer half of these? But no, I kept scrolling down. I even went back and looked, and yeah, there are a lot of the same questions between last week and the week before. It was weird. It was really, really weird how similar so many of the questions were. I completely, I feel the same way. Yeah, wow, there's a whole lot of comments on the PvP stuff and the what's it called? The last man standing thing. There's more about, of course, the rant that I had earlier in this video and the video before that. So, yeah, but that looks like it's going to be it for this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. And if you have a question, ask it in the comment section of the video below. Anyway, I will see all of you in the next weekly Q&A. And until then, take care.